I think slowly Bitcoin is going to start decoupling from the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500, which has been pretty tied to, in the recent, few quarters or years. And it's going to focus more on what's coming out of these finance ministers' mouths and these politicians' mouths about their plans for how they're going to create money growth and reflate their economies in nominal terms. So I think that the Nasdaq is, a secular sell just because U.S. exceptionalism, especially in the tech basis, is going to decline, and foreigners are going to be repatriating, selling what they can to fund the programs domestically that they need to fund. And so, I don't think stocks are going to do very well in the U.S. sense. I think Bitcoin decouples from this, it's just a proxy for the Nasdaq 100 with higher beta narrative very, very quickly, which is why I think 76,500 is going to hold or might not even be retested. And shortly, as the market says, oh, okay, what happens when the world order changes? The politicians print the money. And so therefore, Bitcoin starts to outperform, starts to look more like gold, which is, trading very well into this global monetary order change phenomenon.
Bitcoin is beginning to move independently from tech stocks like the Nasdaq 100, signaling a potential major shift in market behavior. According to Arthur Hayes, former BitMEX CEO, the driving force behind this is the quiet panic among governments preparing to print more money to stimulate their economies. As central banks shift toward monetary expansion, investors are turning to Bitcoin as a hedge. Hayes argues that Bitcoin was designed for this kind of environment, and it's already showing signs of strength. This could be the start of Bitcoin's true decoupling from traditional markets. Don't miss his insights on where this is going in 2025. They might just change how you think about crypto's future.
Also, if you enjoy listening to crypto-related content, please show your support by liking and subscribing to this channel by following the link in my bio, and get access to my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox. Each newsletter contains on-chain data, forecasts and expert predictions. All of this is available free of charge. It only takes a moment to sign up, and you can always change your mind later.
Now back over to Arthur Hayes.
Make this transition as palatable as possible for the United States. We know that China eventually will let their currency depreciate and flood the world and its domestic economy with yuan and increase the money supply growth. We know that Japan might retaliate by letting the BOJ ramp up money printing and let the yen go to 160, 180, 200, whatever some value. We know that the European Union, especially Germany, wants to build their own army because, they don't have the US support like they thought they did. And they have this, irrational fear of a Russian invasion. And so they're going to justify printing trillions of euros to build bombs, right? And so all the major economic blocs are going to respond to this change in their own domestic way by printing money. And I think slowly Bitcoin is going to start decoupling from the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500, which has been pretty tied to, in the recent, few quarters or years. And it's going to focus more on what's coming out of these finance ministers' mouths and these politicians' mouths about their plans for how they're going to create money growth and reflate their economies in nominal terms. So I think that the Nasdaq is, a secular sell just because U.S. exceptionalism, especially in the tech basis, is going to decline, and foreigners are going to be repatriating, selling what they can to fund the programs domestically that they need to fund. And so, I don't think stocks are going to do very well in the U.S. sense. I think Bitcoin decouples from this, it's just a proxy for the Nasdaq 100 with higher beta narrative very, very quickly, which is why I think 76,500 is going to hold or might not even be retested. And shortly, as the market says, oh, okay, what happens when the world order changes? Politicians print the money. And so therefore, Bitcoin starts to outperform, starts to look more like gold, which is, trading very well into this global monetary order change phenomenon. I still think there's some more pain to be had. So, right, we've had the initial reaction. Now we get the hope, oh, there's going to be negotiations, right? If I look on my Bloomberg, top go sort of, it's like, oh, XYZ country is open to negotiate. Trump says, yeah, if you give me a great offer, I'm willing to negotiate. So we're going to have these headlines probably over the next few weeks of people trying to make a deal, right? And then slowly it's going to realize that people are like, Trump ain't playing. He really is about fixing that imbalance in that chart. And you domestically as a politician, to do the things Trump wants you to do, you will not be in office in the next 2 to 5 years. People will vote you out or there'll be a revolution. And so you can't agree to the things he needs you to agree to because it's just not politically palatable. And so I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that message to get through. It's also going to take a little bit of time for people to re-rate their valuation multiples on US stocks, right? So I think we're going to get a great relief rally as people hope that something other than what is been advertised will happen. And then as people start to realize, okay, well, if there's not foreigners buying all these stocks, why am I paying, 40 times PE for these companies? If, Chinese tech has surmounted the semiconductor ban, has built, cutting edge AI models, DeepSeek, there's some other agentic AI, really cool things that are coming out of China as well. Do I really want to pay for this CapEx build out of Microsoft and Google and all these companies? I don't know. They're still great companies. They still make money, but I don't know if I really want to pay 30, 40, 50 times 12-month forward earnings for these things. And so I think that's going to take time as well. And I still don't think that we've broken this narrative that Bitcoin's just high beta Nasdaq. And so it's going to trade pretty in line with the stock market for a bit. And then slowly as people start to realize and start to see what the central bankers and the finance ministers are actually doing, preparing for this change, then we start to decouple. So I don't think that we're out of the woods yet in terms of Bitcoin just following the stock market. I do think we're going to go back to close to 80,000. Maybe we break it down to the 70,000s again. But yeah, we're not out of the woods yet.
You said that if we break through the 110K level, then we could easily go to 250K this year. So based on the current backdrop, is that still on the cards?
Absolutely.
If conditionally.
Yeah, I think the liquidity is going to be there, especially by the end of the year. If you think about the United States, the Republicans have an election to win in 2026 to keep their majorities in the House and the Senate. We know that Trump is already concerned about his thin majorities in the two houses. I forgot the name of the person, but there's an appointment to some cabinet level position of a sitting congressperson, and Trump rescinded that nomination because he wants that person to stay in their seat, because these seats are being hotly contested in these special elections going on in the United States, and he wants to make sure that he has the majority he needs to push through his policies. So there is pushback already politically in the United States, and the Republicans are going to face a stiff challenge in 2026. So yes, Trump's front loading the pain now. I think by the end of the year, it's going to be a completely different tone. It's going to be, look at all these factories that have, pledged to do this, that, and the other thing over the next, 2 to 5 years. Look at the rebound and inward foreign direct investment into the United States. Look at the rebound in the stock market. Now, it could be that the S&P is trading at a 4 handle, and it goes 4,200 and it's up, and over that little time period. But the narrative is going to shift to look at how we're rebuilding the American economy for you, the average American voter. Not look at how we're attacking all these foreigners who've taken advantage of us over the last 30 years. And so when that narrative shifts, it's going to shift with money being printed behind it. And I think that's what's really going to reflate the world. And obviously, you have other countries around the world as well who are going to follow the United States in reflating their own domestic economies.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to access my free daily crypto updates and expert predictions direct to your inbox.